All right, and we are live. Welcome.
There it
Welcome
is.
to the Commercial Real Estate Morning News Show. And I am Amy Palvido, your host. And I have two guests in the house today, Israel and Max, and I will let them introduce themselves. So, Max, why don't you get started?
I'm Max Walker. I'm partner in Colorado Healthcare Properties. We're a mid-sized real estate developer in medical office buildings in Colorado. So mid-size would be between the 25 and 50,000 square foot range. Mostly look at the metropolitan areas, the front range of Colorado from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. So right now we're looking at some projects, but it's been kind of a slow market, obviously, like that for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. Are you, and you're only in Colorado? That's where you kind of stay?
That's it. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
our focus.
All right, awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Thanks. And Israel, my buddy Israel.
Hi.
Hi.
So my name is Israel Silva. I do a variety of different things. I'm a licensed private investigator.
Oh
I'm
my
a
goodness.
yeah. I'm a licensed insurance broker. So I can sell PNC, property and casualty, life insurance, HMO. Um, what else? Auto, all that
You're
stuff.
here on this show because we're talking about healthcare. What have you been doing the longest, Israel? You've been
Healthcare for sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Healthcare. And also a licensed realtor, hopefully a broker in a few
yeah,
months. But
exactly.
yeah,
So
but I own
yes,
seven imaging centers here in the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas.
okay. And the imaging centers do like all imaging, right? MRIs or any.
CT, X-ray, ultrasound, vascular
Yeah.
ultrasound.
Okay, great. And
Just
you've
started
been doing that the long.
mammography. Yeah,
Yeah.
about 30 plus years.
Okay. Awesome. Great. Do
Yeah.
you own all of your buildings too? You own all
Actually, we don't. My partner owns a couple of them with his brother, and him and I own three of them. We're building a new $2 million plus building. It's our going to be our new headquarters in Westlaco.
Oh, very
So
cool.
that'll
Okay.
be done in about 3 months, maybe. More or
Okay,
less.
awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have good perspectives. We have an operator in the space, and we have somebody who's building in the real estate. So this will be great. This is awesome. So one of the first stories that nobody can ignore is as we're talking about everything that's happening in Washington, and they're shaking the trees over there, and they're doing all these cuts, and it's affecting NIH and it's affecting Health and Human Services, and everywhere. They're laying off employees. Are you seeing that as an impact to your businesses at all yet, or is it still too early? Or is there any concern there? And I'll just kick it over to Max.
It just adds to the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the market, with everything else that's occurred, inflation in construction costs, interest rates, it's just a lot of unknowns. And I think the administration is so new that people are trying to wrap their arms around what the impacts are going to be, how deep they're going to be, what kind of potential cuts are coming through, and how medicine is going to be, physicians are going to be reimbursed, and what the economics of medicine are going to be going forward. So just
Right.
a lot of unknown, just adds to the uncertainty.
Yeah. I mean, are the well, obviously for you, because the physicians got to pay their rent, right? And so you're, that would be key if they could make as much money as they were making now, or whatever it might be. I mean, I think it trickles down eventually, right, to the landlord.
We do development, so we're looking. Where can you look if costs are that high? It's going to be rent.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be on the buy, it's going to be on the land
Right.
purchase. Or if you're looking at a building,
Oh.
the purchase side of it. So
Yeah.
One way or the other. The other thing that's gone up, at least here in Denver, our property taxes absolutely gone through the roof the last 4 or 5 years. So it's just adding to the potential costs for
Yeah.
groups.
So when you're underwriting a development, obviously you can only take into account, I mean, you're pricing in like what your rent calculations are going to be on your income side, right? So that'll take that hit there. Obviously taxes. I mean, yeah, I was a developer too. So taxes have been going crazy for a while. Insurance has been going crazy for a while, right? It's, you know, we're getting hit. But if there's an impact, I mean, you can kind of mitigate that if you could raise your rents, right? So if your expenses are going higher, as long as you're able to raise your rent, you're good, right? And you could do that.
Triple leases, so it's just
Yeah.
a question of if the tenants, you know, if you're looking at, you know, in that $15 to $20 expense range for operating expenses that they're going to have to add on to their rent, then it's become, you know, a very large number for them to carry on the balance sheets.
Sure, right. It's almost as much as the rent amount, right? The can't purchase.
Close, yeah, I'd probably say
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What about you, Israel? What are you seeing all this uncertainty coming out of Washington? Is it impacting?
I mean, not yet. We're curious to know, but I do think that if we save the system money, it'll be around a lot longer.
Yeah,
You
for
know, but
sure.
we haven't seen any cuts. I mean, our Medicare cuts every 2 to 3 years, another 0.5% to 1.5% from the reimbursement rates that we get. So, but I think this what's happening. Yes, there's a lot of uncertainty, but I just don't know how it's going to affect a lot of the government programs
Right.
at the end of the day. So, but I think we'll be able to keep them around longer.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, do they think that the same productivity will exist, right? If like you cut this many people, that nothing's going to slow down? Like, I mean, is that what people worry about? Is more so much it's going to delay more things, like delay payments or do anything like that?
I don't know because we deal with that bureaucracy already with insurances anyway,
Yeah.
especially like the VA or just to get an order. We have veterans calling us to say, "Hey, I can't get my MRI done," or they scheduled me 3 months out. Can you do it faster?
Hmm.
And yeah, we can. But there's some red tape that we have to go through to make it happen. So we don't know. I mean, we've all heard the saying, "Well, it's a government job," so it seems a little more lax than as an entrepreneur. You want to get stuff done quick,
Hmm.
bring them in, bring them out. And uh, I just don't know. It's an unknown. But again, I think it's going to be a good thing at the end of the day. We just don't know what they're going to implement. Yeah, we hear all the cuts, cut, which is great, but they have to be working on either a new program or something else that's going to come out eventually. We just don't hear of that, not yet.
No, right. So that's true. There hasn't been any sort of improvement or any changes to systems or anything like that. Right now, they're just focused on cutting people, right, and just
Yeah,
saving money. So,
saving money.
if it was already, hellacious, and now you're cutting people, which the hellacious process was dependent upon. So, and then I would assume they would go and identify process improvements or whatever it might be. You would think, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
One of the things to keep an eye on is the budget. I think the budget is due March 14th.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not these cuts can be worked into the budget or not, I think it's a big debate of whether that's going forward or whether they're just going to do another continuing resolution and
Yeah.
kick the can down, and that would just sort of lock in last year's budget. So it's while they're making these cuts in the executive branches, how they're going to be implemented in the long term, we haven't heard from Congress yet.
That's interesting. That is a good point, right? I mean, if it doesn't make it in the budget, then why even go through the exercise, right? I mean, why? I mean, if you're just going to still fund it the way it was funded before, who cares?
Right,
So,
right.
so if that's what they're working towards, then okay, that makes sense, right? That makes
Yeah, it
sense.
might be something again. It might be something that they're going to work towards in the future. I mean,
Mhm.
if that's look popular. Maybe there's something there's going to be pressure to make them more permanent. It's just another unknown. Is how you
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, markets don't like uncertainties, but they inevitably happen all the time. But that's interesting. But this one has been this one's been pretty tumultuous, right? I mean, it's been kind of crazy, just the amount and the speed at which everything was happening, right?
You can't really follow it. It's just,
Yeah, I know.
It's been insane.
It's been
It's been
insane
insane. Yeah.
for sure. Are you concerned at all? I mean, I think the biggest when I was talking with last week, I was talking with Deanie Taylor, and he runs Landmark Healthcare Properties. He was saying that what he's most concerned about is the research funding. Like they're really cutting down on research funding, and what they're cutting down is on overhead. And overhead is rent, it's building, it's all these things, right? And so if research can't get done because they're having to figure out how they're going to do research now, does that maybe it might not impact you? You're an operator, you're a developer, but would it maybe?
in some areas, we work with some health systems as tenants, but they're, in our building is urgent care, primary care, and then the others are physician groups and smaller neighborhood doctors. So not so much for our business that we see, although you could see it potentially, impacting a larger system or some other areas in real estate.
Okay, very cool. And Israel, not you, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't affect you, not so much.
No,
All right.
not today.
All right, very cool. Well, let's talk about AI. Let's talk about everybody's favorite topic, AI. So, and as you're looking at okay, so we'll go Israel to you. As you're looking at your operations, have you implemented any AI? Are you seeing any AI? Have you done any of that yet? Can you say?
Actually, I'm so old school, like it's not even funny. I'm trying to keep up with that stuff, but we do use some AI technology. For example, after all this time that we've had Texas healthcare, we're finally implementing mammography.
No.
So with mammography, there's something called CAD, and it's been
Mhm.
around for a few years. It's computer aided detection,
Right.
which looks for a mass, right,
Right.
in the woman's breast or male breast too. And but that's one portion of what we're working with. But there's something else that's coming out that is not considered CAD, but it's considered AI,
Mhm.
and they're looking at potentially finding. We look at sensitivity, right? How our machines can only see certain things, but
Mhm.
with the AI, they can find a cancer 4 years before
Interesting.
that than either CAD or the naked eye can see from a radiologist standpoint. So it's coming around. We just signed up for 2 new MRIs, and those are going to come with AI. They're $1 million a piece. It's like a 12-month project for us,
Right.
but they've been ordered, and they're going to come with AI. So
So
we're
it's a
trying. We're
part
trying.
of the device itself. It's part of the device that you're using.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in this case, yes. Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah. That's
yeah.
huh.
So, and we just signed up with another company to to make our images a little bit prettier. And I don't know how the hell they do it, you know, but it cleans up the image even better. So
Yeah.
that keeps me from having to buy a more expensive machine. Um,
Right. Oh, so it'll take an existing image and then it'll make the image look better.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, so,
like I do with my pictures, and it makes my face look prettier.
yes. And I don't understand how that really works. It just does work. And the guy was I signed for it finally, but I was working the guy down and in pricing, and he's like, "Well, there's nothing else out there in the market." I'm like, "Well, I've been in 30 years. I've never needed it. It's not. I don't know how much business it's going to bring me, but it improves the quality, which is so
Oh,
important to us,
yeah. Okay.
So,
So
but
when on your building, and this will kind of apply to Max too, when you're building a medical office building or whatever it is, you're building your building. How much of that of your budget is FF&E? I mean, not for you, Max, but for how much are you? And then as you're designing that building, What is the electrical load? I mean, for an MRI machine, dear Lord, you're pulling like a lot of electrical, aren't you?
Yeah, well, for CAT scans, we pull 480. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
480 power. So yeah, it's there's not it. We don't find that type of power anywhere. So sometimes we have to step up transformers because there's not enough power.
Yeah.
We figure it out. Um,
Are they having to make a new substation for you? No, right? They're not having
no,
to do anything like
no,
that. No. Okay.
no.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might talk to Max eventually because I'm looking at I'm talking to a big conglomerate that wants us to put imaging centers in different states. Actually, I'm supposed to get their LOI soon, but we'll probably do the deal. So we'll have to put imaging centers. They want us to put imaging centers in Nevada and Florida, Oklahoma, all over Texas as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So when you're designing them to expand, or if you're Max, when you're designing a medical office building and you got a like 50,000 square foot or whatever it might be, do you go into that development thinking that at some point you buy extra land because you know it'll expand? How do you design when you're originally thinking through a development like that? Is it based off? I'm assuming everything's based off a market, but would you start with a smaller footprint initially, or doesn't make sense?
I mean, yeah, potentially you could find it. I mean, we model ours in really the mid-size, so it's 25,000 to 50,000 square foot off-campus facilities. So you're going to look. We need to have rooftops around there, so it's going to be it can be an infill project.
Okay.
Or that's going to limit our ability to
Right.
expand. Going back a little bit, I think we've looked at. I mean, you're mentioning AI. We also, during COVID, there was a lot of telemedicine talk, and
Yeah.
how is that going to impact the industry? I think we just dealt with COVID and we got through it, and sort of, in a way, back to normal. I don't notice that there's a lot of impact from telehealth.
Mm-hmm.
You still need to see patients. Um, as far as the energy, we had a health system in our building, so we had to have a hospital grade suite for them. So there's a lot of redundancy built in.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have enough capacity to take care of their needs. So basically that you plan. How we plan is obviously the market's market driven.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're working with a system, they have their parameters, and how we interact with that system and other tenants is going to drive the process. Basically, you're trying to fill up a tenant a building.
Right.
We've got potentially a time frame going with your land contracts or with lenders and all that. So
Yeah.
it's sort of the market that's driving it. You know, we do have a tenant that's gotten in and they wanted to expand, but unfortunately, when they did it, they put the area they wanted to expand on the south side of the building, so they can't. There's room for them to expand, but they would have to tear out some offices. So
Mm-hmm.
that's on a little bit on the tenant, knowing how much space they need,
Right.
their space plan,
Footprint.
and so we can work with them. So yeah, there's some flexibility in there, but also real estate is slow moving, um, construction is slow moving,
Yeah.
slow moving, and so you've got your time frames with your in demands from your investors and from your lenders. It's all these pieces that are sort of moving together. If there was a place, maybe we'd look at an option.
Mm-hmm.
For some land. Parking is obviously the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues with development in medical office. So,
What is it per 1,000 square feet? How many parking spaces per thousand is it?
I mean, ideally over 4.
Over 4? Wow.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're looking, at infill development. You've got to deal with that some way. I mean, obviously, you've got patients, and they want to. It's the one thing. My mom is 83, and she was like, the first thing she said is, "Well, you've got to get good parking."
Well, yeah, exactly.
Some other friends said the same thing. Make sure you get enough parking. Make sure you can park at clubs. So I mean, it's one of the, you look starting now towards maybe potentially some mid-sized boxes, small boxes in retail that
Hmm.
might be dark. That might
Yep.
be an ideal type of situation because there's plenty of parking there.
Right.
They're in neighborhoods, so you look around the neighborhoods. What are the demographics and what are the demands?
Right.
How many families are around there with kids? And but yeah, shopping center is going to indicate that yes, it's somebody's already done their research, and that's a site.
I've seen a lot of urgent care clinics in retail shopping centers, right? You don't, I mean, as long as it's one floor, you don't have to build a like crazy elevator shaft for a gurney, right? And so you're
Yeah.
good.
It makes it easy if it's a box and there's nothing inside. I mean, then you can tear it out and go to work.
Yeah, and build it how you need it. So talk about when you're building for a hospital system and it's a critical operation, how much redundancy do you have to have? Is it just like generators that are there that so you have the one transmission line bringing what you need, and you just have to have backup generators, or do you have to have multiple layers of redundancy?
I think it's multiple layers, but I mean,
Is it?
Chuck is my partner. I think you've met him. He's probably more the expert
Yeah.
in that area. I mean, I try to stick with the investments
The investment side. Very
so,
cool.
I think we know we had a tenant there, which was UCH, usually Colorado Health.
Hmm.
They had their requirements, and so it was just following through with that.
Yeah, very cool. So has 3D printing made it to the healthcare industry yet? Have y'all looked at 3D printing for anything yet?
No, not really. No,
No,
no impact whatsoever. Not with
really?
us.
Have you seen a 3D printed building? Do you know what they look like?
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah,
I have, but no, we're not
you're
we're
not
not
going to do it.
we're not there yet. Yeah, it's weird and
It's cool.
freaky, you
It's
know.
weird and freaky.
Yeah, but yeah, I've seen some put together. It's cool, but no.
No,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
You're always looking for something in the industry that maybe can cut costs.
yeah.
And
Well, I mean, it just from a speed alone, like, I mean, so the 3D printing homes, right? Those are smaller footprints, right? But they can get those wall systems built like up in a day. And and it's amazing. They can actually print several in a day. So you get everything but your roof trusses. They come in, they pour the foundations. You come in and they can print the homes, move on to the next one, and they can do several a day, right? So if you're thinking maybe 4,000 square feet a day, not bad, depending on how you're doing the beads. Yeah, and how tall it is. Yeah.
That's awesome. We deal with a lot. We deal with a lot of lead. We deal with a lot of copper for our
Yeah.
MRI rooms. Yeah,
Yeah.
so our MRI rooms, copper rooms are running like 100,000, and the sheetrock, lettuce sheetrock, is 4x7s are
Yeah.
running about 350 a pop. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah. So unless they come up with a really cool material for you, I guess you're not going to 3D print your building. All right. I gotcha.
you
I
never
didn't
know.
You never know. I mean, like, yeah, I know. It's interesting. I just didn't know if that technology had made it over to. I mean, it would be interesting to see if you could build them faster, right? I guess.
Oh yeah,
permitting is the main hurdle for time constraints.
Yeah.
sure.
Once you get your permit, you can roll, but the permitting has become an issue, at least here
Yeah.
in the municipalities. I mean, it's well known. It's in the media in Denver.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's everywhere. I think that's one thing. If AI was going to fix anything, if it could do plan review, it would be great. I mean, like it would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it will eventually. There will be an AI out there doing plan review. I'm sure.
I have a planning degree, so
Yeah. I mean, at least the first pass, right? It could look for red flags. I mean, we use AI for real estate transactions. So if you're buying a piece of property or whatever, we can use AI to look for red flags there. Like read all the contracts, tell us what you think might be a problem. And it'll pull back. It'll go ding, ding, ding. There's like an easement over here. Did you know about the easement? Did you? And we tell it what to look for, and it'll just search through the documents and find it, right? Which is super cool and makes it a lot easier. So there is AI out there that does that, and it can parse down data. Like it can you can tell it what to look for and recognize its importance level, right? And it can pull down, it can summarize documents, it can do all that kind of stuff. Right. So eventually you'll think it can do plan review. It can just digest the IBC or ICC codes or IEC codes or whatever, and then look at a plan, set a plan. You know?
Wow.
Hopefully.
That's awesome.
Replace a planner.
Yeah. I mean, it's that's where it's going. I mean, especially with all those deep research models and all these other different things, is all you have to do is you have to train it. So you need to have people training the AI to do whatever you want it to do. It's just taking those plan reviewers. We need old-time plan reviewers who aren't doing anything, and teach the AI what to do so that we can build the tools, right? It takes a while to train them. But that was the whole thing about why DeepSeek was so cool, was it didn't have to have that time invested in to train the model to get it to where it was like usable. They did it really fast. And they did it, and that's why it didn't cost them as much. So, which is pretty interesting. But no one's going to use it because it's China. So no one's going to use it.
Well, I read somewhere that Elon Musk was going to come up with the most intelligent AI. He was going to put it out this Friday, but
yeah,
I don't know what it is. What it's called?
It's Grok. Yeah, it's their Grok. So there's two Groks, by the way. So there's a lot of LLM models, but this is their Grok, and so it's Grok 3. So they've had an LLM model called GROK, and they've been training it for us. So it's Grok 3. OpenAI's come out with theirs. Then there's Grok GROQ, and then there's Claude, and then there's all these different LLM models out there. Claude was actually the best. Like you follow which LLM model is the best, and Claude was actually the best for a while. And I mean, you could use all the other ones. You could use chat. You could use chat is probably the most prevalently used, but Claude was pretty cool. And you can just kind of use each one to see what it's doing. Microsoft's Copilot got bad reviews, so I don't think a lot of people use. And I don't know how many people are using Gemini or Meta's Llama. They're all different names, but they're all basically large language models. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. There's a ton of them.
Which is the one that you used for legal?
Huh?
Which one did you use for legal?
Oh, for the legal side, we actually use different models. It doesn't matter which one we want to use; we can pick. But yeah, we built out that as part of our transactional portal thing. So we bounce between OpenAIs and we bounce between Claudes. Usually, those tend to do the best as far as recognizing the documents. But you want to make sure you're not taking whatever document you have, don't put it into ChatGPT. So that's the big thing, is because if you put it into ChatGPT, it's now part of their public domain. And if it's proprietary lease information or document information, you want to just kind of make sure that you either have it on. There's a way to do it to where you're not giving it to the universe to use, and you're actually getting the functionality out of it that you need, right? So which is super cool. But I think there'll be more and more of that. They're called agents. They're called AI agents. And that's kind of what we build. So we can build an agent to use your data, use the model, but the model does its thing, but the data doesn't get sucked in by the model, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the systems that we're building now as part of what, and my company would never have made it had AI not cut all these AI tools that are coming out now. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do with what we were trying to do had we not had digital twins, had we not had this LLMs, had we not had the agents that we're building. We would have been. We started, no joke, building catalogs. I called Israel like years ago. But hey, wouldn't it be cool if you knew everything that was on your building? And we built that little thing. It was a database, and it was disgusting, and it looked like DOS, and it was just like a catalog of everything on your building. And it was great. And it was a great concept. but now it's turned into a digital twin, right? And so now it's a 3D image, and you can see your building in real time, and you can see everything that's happening on your building. And you can do it during construction, you can do it post operations, but way we were doing it back, and it wasn't even that long ago, it was like 4 years ago. The way we were doing it back then, they couldn't see it, they couldn't understand it. It was just a bunch of data, and it was in this format that they couldn't see. But when you put it into a digital twin, and now it's a picture, and now it's a 3D rendering, then they go, oh, okay, I get it. But you still kind of need the data twin that makes everything go. You need the data behind everything. But yeah, but it's been interesting. And then we're building models, AI models on top of it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's what we're working on. So.
I need to look at it again. I don't know if you have any links, new links of your latest.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. Yeah, we're gonna post some videos up online. I'll show it to you. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. So let's talk about other technologies in the medical space. Max, when you're going to build or develop a building, is there normally a tech stack that's a part of that? Like, guys, they're going to need occupancy sensors. You're going to have to run low voltage wiring different places. Is that normally in most of your developments, or is it a tenant come and do that after the fact, after you've built your building?
Yeah, well, it might come before, but yeah, it's mostly that's done pre-planning. So
yeah. And what's a typical tech stack? Is it just occupancy sensors? It's HVAC sensors. It's IoT, managed Wi-Fi, that kind of thing. Or that's all. Is there any sort of access controls, or are they doing anything with that?
On the individual suites they can, but yeah, with us it's just we're just doing the shell of the building.
Yeah,
they'll finish out their suites, and we allow them to do their access stuff outside their suites.
So as you're thinking about the design of it, are you doing pre-planned drops for certain things? Like, so when you go and build out your white box or whatever, for like, you have an envision, oh, we have this floor will be open, this floor will demise into 3 suites or whatever it might be. Are you pre-planning drops there? Is there, I'm just trying to think of design features that might be impactful for people.
Yeah, no, we're just, we'll do the shell, and like this last building, we had a couple tenants pre-lease, so we knew what their space planning was.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, we have to be, functional. You have to be ready to change things up depending on the new tenant's needs. So yeah, be flexible for it.
So are you spec building, or are you actually pre-leasing all your buildings?
We're pre-leasing, yeah.
You're pre-leasing everything.
We're pre-leasing, okay. Yeah, well, if it's 70%,
then you'll go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Are you seeing anything new requirements on the tech side from the tenant, or is it just some IoT sensors, some access controls, and managed Wi-Fi? Is there anything else that's coming in that's new that they're asking for?
No, I don't think so. Not to my knowledge. So,
yeah. Interesting. What about you, Israel? You're building a building. What are you planning from a technology perspective?
I mean, we fiber optic cables for sure. We try to, because you never know where technology is. I don't know if we're using Cat 6 now or Cat 8. I don't know where we're at. But my partner Joanne handles all that stuff. So we do build our own buildings pretty much.
Yeah.
So if we do this deal with this Fortune 500 company, we'll have to create our own construction company. Yeah. Because imaging centers we know pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a different model, I guess. But yeah, he handles all that stuff. I used to teach him, but now
he teaches you.
He runs with it. Yeah, he really does.
That's interesting.
It's amazing.
So so typically you would think, the only concern as far as the access goes would be to medical records, but those are all pretty much online. Is there any other it's just a typical office building, right? So you're not trying to control certain movements inside the building. You're not trying to control any of that kind of stuff, right? So there's nothing.
We're paperless now. I
Yeah.
mean, we're totally paperless. Electronic medical records, it's EMRs is what they're called, and
Yeah.
yeah. We just signed up with Konica Minolta, and cost us $1 million. But
Wow. Can I sell you something for $1 million, Israel?
no, it's very unique though, and the reason it's so expensive in our case is because you have a regular doctor's office that uses EMRs all day long, but there's very few that actually uh, work with the technology side of the CT scanners, MRI, and so forth. You know, there's a
Mhm.
language
Yeah.
there that has they have to talk to each other, and
Right.
this one included everything, including billing, because we do our own billing. We don't outsource it, so that's why it was so expensive. But it's at the end of the day, it's worth it for us. You know,
Yeah, for
it
sure.
really is, and we don't have to worry about getting hacked anymore, which we've gotten hacked and held ransom. Yeah, yeah, I think it happened to us 2 or 3 times. But the cool thing is for us, we never paid the ransom because we have triple redundancy. So we would lose half a day of info pretty much, but because our IT guys are so good, we would say screw you to the hijackers and just get going again. Yeah,
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
So you can log in. They have a separate system or another separate system, and then interesting.
yeah.
So so they lock you out of one, but you had two other
Yeah,
backup.
so we would get off that, and then we would upload our backup. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
it
Uh,
it really it
that's
really was.
scary. Actually, it's really
It,
scary.
it's scary. It is
Yeah,
scary. Yeah.
that is really scary. Crazy town. Um, so from a when you're looking at a site and you're looking at, I mean, you primarily stay, Max, in Colorado, and permitting obviously is an issue. But are there certain requirements besides population? And the population is aging, right? So we have the baby boomer. The last baby boomer turned 65. So is there considerations around what you're seeing as far as needs go? Like, do you think in the areas, are we going to need double the medical centers? Israel, you're going to build a bunch of imaging centers. Is there going to be a need for more and more medical facilities, especially the trend is to go to outpatient buildings, right? I mean, that's kind of the trend. So what are
Yeah.
you seeing in Colorado, Max? Is it that the same?
Yeah, there's an increasing demand. Obviously, I think I just saw a report that said that over 75 population is going to grow by 59% by 2030. So it's those demographics. People are aging, and yeah, there's the demand is there. So and the space is not there. So you
Yeah.
know, we're gonna need new facilities going forward in the area. Colorado is growing very rapidly and has
Yeah.
been for the last 10, 15 years. So yeah, there's demand, and there's demand for new medical, and it's mostly I'd say demographic driven, and the industry. There's a lot of you know outpatient demand, and so it's going to be stuff that's in residential areas, like mentioned before, key
Yeah.
demographics, stuff that's surrounding.
Is there a rule of thumb, like people want to drive to the doctor like less than 10 minutes? It has to be within a 10-minute drive or a 15-minute drive. Is there anything like that? Is there a rule of thumb like that's out prevalent out there?
I don't think there's a rule of thumb. Um, there's I think back to Grass Camp's real estate model, and gravitational pull, but I haven't seen anything that
Okay.
as driving. Primary care and then specialty. You're gonna go where your
Where you're
doctor.
gonna go?
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Max is right about the specialty, but primary care, yeah, there's no rule of thumb, I guess, but people don't want to drive 10 minutes, they really don't. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, no, they want to drive less. Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. 10 minutes is too far.
Yeah. Yeah. They want to drive less. No doubt.
Okay. All right. I
No
got
doubt.
you.
But
Okay.
but but the trend, yeah, is definitely going to outpatient now.
Hmm.
Outpatient imaging. One of the reasons that this corporation is looking at us is because they have about 200 hospitals nationally, but they know that the trend is going outpatient.
Yeah.
And specifically, they've mentioned a lot of cities that they want us to go into, but they hadn't brought up, say, Las Vegas. They brought up Reno, but in Vegas, the insurance companies are also saying, "Hey, you know what? We don't want to send two hospitals because they have a they have a different payment system. So
Right.
if you go get an MRI done at a hospital, you're going to pay a lot more. So the insurances pay a lot more,
Right.
but they're like, you know what? Um, we want to be in certain areas because we know we can, if we can be successful in the valley, being one of the poorest counties in the nation, going to bigger counties like they have in DC, because DC's mentioned, and so is Vegas. They're like, we could do quite well, but the demand is going to continue going. We could probably put another imaging center in McAllen.
Yeah.
That'll be our fourth. It'd be four in McAllen, and
That's
we'd probably be okay.
wow.
You know,
Okay.
we have hospitals here. Getting into the mammography side, it's very it's very stringent. It's very difficult to deal with the state, with the accrediting bodies. American College of Radiology, they have very strict rules and guidelines as to what we need to do on our sides to start doing mammography. And some of these we never wanted to because it's another animal from what we're used to. But we
Hmm.
have hospitals here that are scheduling 3 months out. So for us, it's $1 million business easy if we have 3 or 4 units running.
Yeah.
Uh, because the demand is there.
Interesting.
So yeah, I just met with some clinics last week that they're asking us for a reduced uh, fee for mammos, but yes, we do a lot of charity work every day. We do a lot of charity, but at the end of the day, I said no, we're not going to lower our prices because when you have three, everyone else is charging more anyway, and then you have to wait three
People are
months.
offering.
To get
Yeah.
it.
No,
Yeah,
I got you. So
it's
Max, is do you think the future of medical office buildings is partnering inside? So you have the like the ones at the retail strip centers and those are in neighborhoods or whatever. But is the future to be close to a hospital system because it's part of the hospital systems? Is that going to be a big bulk of the business going forward?
Well, it's
Um,
interesting. We like to be in that mid-size range,
yeah.
smaller player. Uh, there's a lot of institutions, REITs that they're looking for. They have models they're looking for 50,000 square foot and above product,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it usually has to be within 1 or 2 mile, possibly 3 mile radius of a hospital.
Right.
That's their model. So yes, I think that looking forward, and they can't find that. So
Yeah.
for instance, we were doing our project. It's we're several miles from nearest hospital, but it's a neighborhood, 30,000 square foot. We had institutions that were contacting us because I mean they've got their model and they've got all this cash and they're looking to place it somewhere. So
Yeah.
even in some groups that don't do development, um, so it's one of those issues that's where the money is looking. It's the safe bet uh,
Right.
for them to be right next to a hospital, and sometimes obviously there's dynamics there, and there might be potential cost savings depending on what system you're working with, etc. But for us, it's there is a demand there, and I think the money is starting to sort of to flow this direction. Just because of the safety of the model.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, all the hospitals are like what, 20, 30 years old. I mean, they're old, and they've been engulfed, like been encircled around with everything. There's no infill. Like there's nothing around a hospital, right? I mean, you would think, right?
Yeah, you can't find anything there.
You can't find anything. And their investing criteria, they probably should have researched how many actual buildings could we do,
Right.
within that model.
Them up. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting for sure. I mean, obviously that's the most ideal, that just, ensures that you're going to get business and you're going to have doctors that want to be close to the hospital and all those great things, right? And so that'll be great if you can do it. Have you seen any like conversions from like maybe an office building that was close to the hospital and they're converting them to medical office or anything like that? Or are those still tough because of the elevators and things?
Yeah, tough. Yeah, you need the corridors to be wide. A lot of these old buildings that have come on the market, they're nice buildings.
Yeah.
Relatively new, and then they've got some vacancy issues and they've got some financing issues, and they're on the market for a good price, but the cost to convert them. We looked at some that were new hospital in Wheat Ridge here, and I recall the cost to rehab it was about $175 a foot.
Wow.
So
to rehab it. Holy crap.
You're adding that into your cost basis, and it's you have to get it somewhere. And I don't think there's a lot, and I've heard from some other developers that it's a very difficult process. Residential is easier use for a vacant office than medical.
Well, okay, so that blows me away, that statement there, because transitioning office to resi, that sounds like brain damage. Like with just the mechanical and the plumbing alone, sounds like brain damage to me. Like because you have those big floors and there's a bathroom down at the end of the hall, and you have to take all of that across and build kitchens and bathrooms and all sorts of different things. I cannot imagine that medical office would be harder than resi, but okay.
Yeah, probably that's some of demand.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. That's crazy town. Well, we are coming up to the end of our show. Y'all, look at this. We made it.
So fast.
It goes by super fast. Well, thanks for coming on. Tell people if they want to get a hold of you, how they can get a hold of you. Go ahead, Israel.
So feel free to call my cell phone, 956-792-5270. I can help you with a variety of different things. So just call me.
All right. That's great. And Max?
My cell phone is 720-470-6224. My email is max, M-A-X, at cohcp.com, for Colorado Healthcare Properties. Get a hold of us. We're in the Colorado markets. My partner has, I don't know if he admits it, but over 45 years experience in building medical office hospitals. He's been in almost every division of construction. So Chuck Denk is a great guy. So it's just a small company, but we're happy and we're energetic, opportunistic, ready to work with people.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show, y'all. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Amy.
All right.
See you guys. Nice to meet you as well.
We'll talk soon. Take care, Max. Thank you.